Life wasn't kind to us growing up. Our house had more cracks than walls, and our dinner plates often had more air than food. But even in the middle of all that struggle, we found comfort in each other. My brother and I were inseparable, not because we had no one else, but because we understood each other in ways no one else could. He had dreams bigger than the sky, yet the weight of our family's survival forced him to put them on hold. He would often sit by the broken window at night, staring at the stars, lost in thought. I used to ask him what he was thinking, and he would just smile and say, "Someday, I'll change everything for us." I would laugh it off, not because I didn't believe in him, but because I knew how life had a way of crushing even the brightest hopes. There were times when he wanted to drop out of school to start working. Times when he almost gave up on himself. But somehow, he pushed through, fueled by a quiet promise he never spoke out loud, a promise that he would make something of himself, not just for his own sake, but for mine too. I didn't know about the silent vow he made every time he saw me working late into the night, helping around the house, giving up little joys to keep us afloat. At the time, I thought all we had were empty dreams, held together by sheer willpower. Little did I know, my brother was holding on to every sacrifice I made, every tear I hid, and saving it like a treasure in his heart. He was waiting for the day he could finally give back, not with words, but with action. He promised himself that his very first paycheck would not be spent on himself. It would be spent on me, on giving me something I had long given up dreaming about. But back then, in those cold, hungry nights, I never could have guessed the gift he was planning, nor the way it would change my life forever. The day my brother finally got a job is still etched into my memory like it happened just yesterday. He came home a little late that evening, dust on his shoes, and a strange glow on his face, a mix of exhaustion and pride. I asked him where he had been, and for the first time in months, he smiled wide and said, "I got a job." It wasn't anything grand, a small position at a local store, working long hours for minimum wage. But to us, it was bigger than any corporate office, bigger than any high-end career. It was hope. It was proof that the cycle of endless struggle was beginning to crack, even if just a little. I could see it in his eyes, the pride, the relief, and that small, stubborn fire that said, "This is just the beginning." Every morning after that, he would wake up before dawn, tie his worn-out shoes, and head out without a word of complaint. Even when he came back with aching feet and tired eyes, he never showed any frustration. Instead, he carried himself like a man who knew that every single day, every single shift, was a step toward a bigger dream, a future he was quietly building for us. Sometimes, I would hear him counting coins late at night in his room, thinking I was asleep. I knew he was saving every penny, but I thought he was planning to buy himself something, a new pair of shoes maybe, or finally replace his cracked phone. I never imagined that those coins were being carefully set aside, for me. Back then, I had no idea that he wasn't just saving money, he was saving a moment. A moment where he could turn to me and say, "Here. This is for everything you've ever done. This is my thank you. This is my promise to you, fulfilled." But that moment was getting closer with every sunrise, and it was going to change everything. Weeks passed, and life slowly began to feel lighter. My brother would come home tired, but I noticed the way he hummed little songs sometimes, something he hadn't done in years. There was a quiet excitement in him, almost like he was counting down to something. One evening, he asked me if I could take a day off from my small job. "I want to take you somewhere," he said, his eyes shining with a secret he refused to share. I was confused but agreed. I hadn't seen him so happy in a long time, and honestly, just spending time together felt like a blessing. That morning, he made me close my eyes as he led me down the street. I laughed nervously, bumping into people, feeling completely foolish but trusting him with all my heart. When we finally stopped, he told me to open my eyes, and what I saw made my heart stop. It wasn't some fancy place or a luxury car. It was a small, humble bookstore, the very bookstore I used to dream of visiting when I was younger. I had once told him, in passing, how much I loved books, how they felt like doorways to other worlds I could never afford to visit. I never thought he remembered. I had buried that dream long ago under piles of unpaid bills and everyday worries. But he remembered. Every word, every dream, every small piece of hope I had shared with him, he had carried them in his heart like treasures. And today, he was giving me a gift that was more than just books. It was the gift of feeling seen. Of feeling remembered. Of knowing that someone out there had been holding on to my lost dreams when even I had let them go. Tears filled my eyes, blurring the sight of him grinning like a little boy. And that's when he pulled out a small, carefully wrapped package from his worn-out jacket pocket. "Open it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. With shaking hands, I unwrapped it, and what I found inside made me burst into tears right there in front of everyone. Inside the small package was a key, shiny, new, tied with a simple red ribbon. For a moment, I stood frozen, staring at it, my mind struggling to understand. I looked up at my brother, confused and overwhelmed. He chuckled softly, wiping his own misty eyes, and said, "It's yours. I rented a small place for you, right next to the bookstore. You always talked about wanting a peaceful corner where you could read, write, and dream without worrying about anything else. I wanted to give you that, your own little world." For a second, I couldn't breathe. I had spent so many years burying my wishes, convincing myself that life was only about survival. Dreams were for other people, not for someone like me. But here he was, my brother, the boy who once skipped meals so I could eat, handing me not just a key to a room, but a key to freedom, a key to hope. It wasn't about the money or the size of the place. It was about the love behind it. The sacrifices he had made silently, those extra shifts, those nights he skipped dinner just to save a few dollars more, all of it had been for this. For me. I hugged him tightly, feeling my heart shatter and heal all at once. People walking by smiled at us, not knowing the history, the pain, and the love that hug carried. In that moment, I realized something even bigger. It wasn't just a gift for today. It was a reminder that no matter how cruel the world can be, the love of one person, pure, unwavering, and selfless, can rebuild an entire life. After that day, everything changed between us, though no words were needed. The small apartment became my sanctuary, a place where dreams felt real again, not distant fantasies. Every corner of that space whispered of my brother's love and sacrifice. I decorated it with small things, secondhand curtains, a cozy chair by the window, a tiny bookshelf that soon overflowed with novels. But the most precious item remained that key, which I hung near the door as a reminder that someone believed in me enough to fight for my happiness. My brother would visit often, bringing groceries or sometimes just sitting with me, both of us drinking cheap coffee and laughing about old times. We didn't have riches, but what we shared was something far rarer, a bond built on countless small acts of love, resilience, and selflessness. Many years have passed since then. Life took us through storms and sunshine alike, but that memory, of a tired boy with dusty shoes, saving every penny not for himself but for his sister's smile, has stayed with me like a warm light in the darkest of times. And whenever life gets too heavy, I close my eyes and remember the weight of that small, shining key in my hand, a simple piece of metal that unlocked not just a door, but a lifetime of hope, dreams, and unbreakable love. Because in the end, the greatest gifts are never the ones wrapped in fancy paper or bought with heavy wallets. They are the ones wrapped in sacrifice, tied with invisible strings of love, given from the heart of someone who believes in you, even when the world doesn't. And that is a treasure no paycheck, no fortune, could ever match.